Yeah. I'm going to let them know. Hi, folks. I'm Matt, and welcome to my Expanded Universe, a show where I go through the entire EU in chronological order as best I know how. This is a unique video here because I'm doing it the night of when I have to post this. In short, here's what happened. I recorded this video a month ago, I think, a little over a month ago. And so I record a bunch of videos and then I take the time and I edit them and I put them up. When I uploaded this one tonight, I found out that it didn't have any sound. And I don't know how that happened because it had sound when I recorded it. It had sound when I was editing it, and something between the rendering of the video and or uploading it to YouTube, it lost all of its sound. So now I have to review a story that I have not looked over in over a month. And let's see how my memory goes. Now, thankfully, of any of the videos it happened to this one, which this one was kind of special to me anyway, and I'm excited to talk about it. But it's not going to be as informative as before because the interview I had with one of the authors, I've kind of forgot some of that information or everything that I'd written down in my notes. So I scribbled down a few notes from what I remembered, and let's see how it goes. Okay, so let's get right into this. It is the Star Wars Adventure Journal, issue number 14. It was written by Charlene Newcomb and Rich Hanley, and it's called Crimson Bounty. Now this focuses on Crimson and another character called Cage, I think K-A-J, Kaj. And Kaj kind of gets in trouble and Crimson kind of bails out her friend. And it's they actually, you've seen them before. They've actually been in previous Star Wars Adventure Journals. The first one was it was called Crimson Jailbreak, and it was in Star Wars Adventure Journal number 5. And then in Star Wars Adventure Journal number 8, you saw these characters again, and I think it was called Certain Point of View, I think was what it was called. And so you'd seen these characters before. Well, this is a new adventure called Crimson Bounty, and Charlene Newcomb had written the previous two short stories. And Rich Hanley, who, as a lot of you know, I'm friends with, he had not written anything before. This is actually his first EU short story, but he had been reading the Star Wars Adventure Journal, and he loved Charlene Newcomb's character. He loved Crimson, and he wrote her and came up with a great idea for an adventure. He said, you should do this and connect it to this, and it can connect to this. And Charlene Newcomb wrote him back and said, that's a great idea. Would you like to write that with me? And he was like, what? At this moment, I think Rich had told me that he'd only worked on the phone book in New York for the city of New York, and that's about it. He'd done a few other little things too, but he didn't have much of a resume to speak of. So writing for the Star Wars Adventure Journal? What? He was super excited by this shot, as we all would be, right? And how nice of Charlene Newcomb to offer that. Now, he said the process was kind of simple. You know, West End Games goes, okay, well, what have you written? Let's see what your story, let me get your resume, your writing resume. It's called something else. I just can't remember right now. But so Rich Hanley was like, well, I've written for this paper. I wrote a report for this company. He's like, okay, that's good. That was the vetting process back then. Well, you know what? This was a fan who had a great story, a great idea, and they trusted Charlene to work with, him. So they went ahead and let it happen. And what they wrote was actually a really good story. Now, if I haven't mentioned this before, I really like the character Crimson as well. I have to admit with Rich here that she is a very interesting character, and the stories that happen around them are very interesting as well. I like it when they don't focus on the main characters from the movies, because you can make interesting characters that are not even very related to the movie. They can do basically anything, as long as it's small rebel missions or just independent missions, and get away with it because it makes sense that other people were doing other things besides fighting the Empire. Now, that doesn't mean Crimson doesn't come across the Empire a couple of times, but it is an interesting story. Now, I didn't know this is his first time writing this one until I asked him about it, and he told me this, which I thought was pretty cool. So I want to pause right there and say, can you imagine writing to someone like one of these authors, and then them saying, that's a great idea. Matt, how would you like to write that with me? Do you know what I would have done after changing my pants? I also think this is very cool. One of the things that we forget to talk about is the connection, how close the connection was between Lucasfilm and the fans at this time. Now, I say Lucasfilm even though it was West End Games, but of course, you know, they had the rights approved through Lucasfilm, and they were reaching out to fans too. That any fan, not any fan, but a fan who had a general good idea and some talent, they were willing to give you a shot and start writing EU fiction. Can you believe that? Now, I try not to lose too much sleep thinking, what if that could have been me? Now, back in the day, I know I would have said, no, you write it, because I didn't think I could write anything. But wow, the opportunity that was available. And he wasn't the only person that got his start through there. Pablo Hidalgo, who you may know and maybe love, he also got his start through West End Games. And it was basically just because he was a super fan. So a lot of people got their start and worked their way up into Lucasfilm, as did Rich Hanley, through West End Games. And I think that's just a wonderful, wonderful thing. Now, what you don't know or didn't know until a few months ago, and I've known for a few years, is that Rich Hanley actually and Charlie Newcomb actually came together and they wrote a sequel to this story called The Contact. Now, The Contact basically just takes those two characters and moves the story further. Now, when I was early talking to Rich, he had told me that he had this short story already written for the next Adventure Journal. I can't remember which number, 17, 18. It was going to come out. And of course, West End Games lost the right, so the story got shelved. But that he still had the story. So like any good expanded universe fan, I was like, whoa, Rich. Give me the love. Give me the love. Now, I can't take credit for him releasing it online because Joe Bongiorno on his site, StarWarsTimeline.net, he recently, in the past few months, he released this story. So it's out and anyone can read it. Now, again, do you have to read these stories to fit in the overall continuity? No. But the story behind these stories are so interesting, I had to dedicate an entire episode just to talk about it. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for now. See you next time with another video. Yep, we're staying up late tonight editing this.